Of Ajax versus Celtic in the final round of qualifying for the Champions League, something the Scottish champions have never been able to achieve before. More than 8,000 fans have made the journey from Scotland to the Amsterdam Arena, swelling the crowd to around 50,000 for this tie, which could go a long way to restoring pride to either of these clubs with a fine European legacy. With me here in Glasgow is Scotland manager Craig Brown, and we'll hear his thoughts in a few minutes. You'll also have another chance to win this Celtic jersey signed by the three recent additions to the Parkhead squad, John Hartson, Steve Guppy and Molmo Silla. Plus we'll take a look back at the two previous meetings between Celtic and Ajax in 1971 and 1982. Before we talk about tonight's game though, an update on the Celtic supporter who was shot and wounded in a pub earlier this afternoon. Dutch police say he's in hospital and his condition is stable. The team here wish him all the best and hope he has a speedy recovery. Now, Craig, Ajax against Celtic tonight. It's a big European night for Celtic again. Clearly, Ajax have the stronger European legacy, but this is not the same type of team that we've, the total football team of Ajax in the past. No,
I think the folks from the Netherlands would agree that this is not the quality of Ajax that we're used to. I mean, you can never discount them, particularly in a European tie, but they weren't so good in the league last year. I think they were down about fifth in the Dutch league. So, you know, they don't seem to have the quality they had, but they have one or two outstanding players that Celtic must be wary of. OK, well, we'll hear who they're going to be, because we'll head over now to the Amsterdam Arena and join our commentary team of Eric Black and Rob McLean.
Thanks, Dougie, and welcome to the magnificent Amsterdam Arena. It looks something like a spaceship from the outside, and it's pretty impressive inside as well. It'll be full to its 50,000 capacity shortly. And if you look up the way, you can see that the retractable roof has been opened. They were fearing the worst with some rainfall tonight, but it stayed dry, so the roof is open, and it might well be blown off later on in terms of atmosphere. Eric Black, my co-commentator, is alongside me, and if you can't play, Eric, in this sort of atmosphere, you can't play anywhere, can you?
Oh, it's absolutely first class, Rob. It's a wonderful evening for European football, and let's hope that Celtic can get a result.
The team news is coming to us, and Tom Boyd is included. Something of a surprise in that he hasn't featured in any action so far.
Yeah, it probably is. I think obviously Tabili had played there recently, but Tom Boyd's a very experienced defender. He's played at the highest level in World Cups. He's a very competent defender, and I'm sure he'll cope with anything that's thrown at him tonight.
And Jackie McNamara instead of Lubo Moravcik in the midfield.
Yeah, probably a slightly more defensive one from Martin there, putting Moravcik in the midfield. McNamara in the midfield, but it's probably a safer bet at this moment in time.
Can Celtic respond here tonight? How good are Ajax? These are questions that will be answered shortly. What do you think?
Well, I think Celtic can get a very positive result tonight. Ajax are a very good team. I don't think we should underestimate them, but they're a very young team. Celtic are getting together now, as a really gelling together as a strong force, and I think it's very positive tonight, and I think they'll get a result.
Ajax are an incredibly young team. It's only when you put ages alongside the names in the lineup that the age average is ridiculously low.
It is, yes, but it's Ajax, and I don't think we should forget that. They'll be very well coached players, they'll be very good technically, they'll be able to keep the ball for long periods, so Celtic have to be aware of that. But I'm confident with Celtic's experience that they could get something tonight, Rob. OK, well, we've got a lot of stairs to climb, and I'm a bit worried about him, whether he'll make it or not back up to the commentary position. But we are heading there now. We'll have our breath back shortly, and we'll talk to you soon. Dougie, back to you.
Thanks very much, Rob. I'll tread carefully, boys, because that's a long way up to that station there. Now, Tom Boyd in the starting lineup for Celtic. Is that a surprise for you, Craig?
Yes, it's a surprise. He hasn't been starting recently, but I'm delighted because that'll keep him match fit at the top level in the view of the fact that we have an international coming. In fact, two internationals, very important ones.
Sure.
It's an interesting selection because I think, the house style of Ajax is a 3-4-3. Now, if they're playing three forward players, Celtic will obviously, I think, take four players, use four in their back line, which is unusual because Martin O'Neill's been playing a back three. So I think maybe Tom's there to bolster the defence and to give us an extra defender to cope with the front three of Ajax. But we'll see when the Ajax team is announced.
Now, the Ajax team, they are full of young players. They've got a lot of speed up front, and Tom's 35 years old. He's got a turn of pace, but is it going to be fast enough?
It is going to be fast enough. Tom Boyd is very fit and very fast. He's naturally fast, so he's very deceptive. He doesn't look to be the most athletic type. I hope he won't mind me saying that. But he's never caught out for pace. And we've used him, when people have thought he's over the hill and he's past it. I always select him in the international squad. I know you'll get a dependable, assured performance from Tom, and Celtic will get that tonight, and his experience could be invaluable. That's an intimidating arena, as Rob and Eric said.
Now, we've got McNamara in the midfield as well, but Lambert and Lennon, I suppose, will be crucial to the midfield battle that goes on this evening.
Yes, they will, and of course they gel tremendously well together. There was a a feeling when Lennon was signed that, you know, there's a duplication there, but it's not a duplication. They complement each other wonderfully well. And this season in particular, Paul Lambert has been getting forward. He scored a few goals, so, you know, I think that's great. But Lambert's normal role for Dortmund and for Celtic has been a defensive one, the anchor player. But now he's been released forward. He's a far better player than he himself thinks, I feel at times. And certainly than many people think. He can score goals, we've seen it. And I hope he continues to do so.
It seems that, I mean, like you say, that they did think that they were very similar types of players, but the understanding they seem to have very quickly has been fantastic.
I think the reason for that is that they're both natural footballers. They've got a football brain, they've got a feel for the game, and they gel together tremendously well. I actually saw them in the very first game Celtic played this season, a friendly against QPR, and they were majestic in midfield, both of them. You know, they were actually playing, it was like a five-a-side game. They were keeping possession, they were playing it round about the QPR players. And of course, they're very good defensively when required.
And as you see there, Paul Lambert scoring goals, like you mentioned, that's got to be a good thing for everyone concerned.
Great thing. You know, if Tom can get forward, he's got a very good shot. He sees a pass as well. You know, the vision that he's got. And the great thing I think about Paul Lambert is his balance. And his balance is tremendous. You know, if you're asking me to pick, I'm very biased, I would pick Lambert if I had a choice between the two players. But they have complemented each other well, and I'm sure Martin O'Neill's signing has been excellent, Neil Lennon.
Now let's talk a bit about the Amsterdam Arena, because it's a controversial place. They've got the roof, obviously they got the roof open tonight, but the pitch can cause a problem. Yes, it can. I think they have to replace the pitch, you know, at least twice each season, which seems a bit disconcerting. I've been over there and it's been terrible. You know, you look at it, very patchy, very bumpy. It looked good tonight on television, of course it's early in the season, and the roof's open. You know, I've been over to several games there. Sometimes it's closed, sometimes it's open. And it's for that reason, of course, it's not getting the natural sunlight that they have to replace it. There has been a suggestion they're going to put an artificial. Now, I think if they can put a man in the moon, we'll soon get an artificial surface, which will be acceptable to FIFA and to all players and managers, and that's inevitable, I think. Now, Celtic will obviously have the advantage that their season's actually started, albeit there's only been a couple of games so far. Ajax have only played a couple of friendly matches so far, but what do you know about them? You've seen them last year, but what do you know about this new side? Well, the new side, obviously, this is a game against an amateur team in which they scored a number of goals. The new side is a young side, as Eric has been saying, very young. I saw them in the Amsterdam tournament last year against Lazio and against Arsenal. They were experienced and they were very good indeed. Some remain. My favourite player, of course, is Kivo, the Romanian who plays on the left-hand side. He's a magnificent exponent. And I'm not just saying that, there he is. I'm not just saying that because he scored against England, but he's absolutely outstanding. They've got the quick young central defenders who are excellent. The international player, Passanen, the Finnish international, and Yakubu. They're very, very good anchor players at the back, and of course up front they've got a variety. They've got choice. Even Maklas, who was a Golden Boot winner a year or two ago, the Greek international player, might not start, I believe. So that shows that they've got good quality. Now, Adriaans, the Ajax manager, has been playing a bit. Well, he's been talking to the press quite a lot in the last week or so, and he's been suggesting that if Celtic start playing a physical game, then they might struggle. Is that a bit of gamesmanship, do you think? I think so, but you know, I've been in his position. He has obviously been bombarded this week by the press, and you know, they'll ask him a question, and he'll just make one chance remark, which will be taken out, and it'll be a headline that Celtic will be physical. We'll be ready for them. And then, of course, this is ideal press material. Get one manager to say something, go to the other one and say, he says this. And so I believe he's a very sensible guy. He's been over here coaching. We've seen him a year or two ago. He was the youth coach at Ajax. He came over to Ibrox and did a session on the field opposite the stadium at Ibrox, which was very good indeed. He's a shrewd guy, but I think it's been hyped up a wee bit too much. Now, another shrewd guy, of course, is Martin O'Neill, and he doesn't seem to be sort of getting. He's not going to get into a war of words with this guy at all. He's not going to give the press what they want, really. No, Martin is the supreme diplomat. He's really got his head screwed on. I had a word with him on Saturday about the game and about his team, and he is optimistic. He's cautiously optimistic, and I do feel that he thinks that Celtic can get through. In fact, can get something here. You know, an away goal here would be magnificent, and I think Celtic are more than capable of getting one. OK. Well, let's have to hear what the supreme diplomat has to say then.
Martin, this is an unbelievable atmosphere. I guess this is what playing in Europe is all about.
Absolutely, Chi. You know, it's a fantastic setting. And not as good as Celtic Park, let me hasten to add, but great nevertheless.
I know just in the last half hour or so they've taken the decision to open the roof. It's now open. There was a chance of playing with the roof closed. Would that have made any difference?
Well, we trained on it last night with the roof closed, and I suppose at least it was nice to get that sort of feeling about it. I think they're concerned that there might be some sort of thunderstorms here later on this evening, but I'm actually quite pleased they're going to play with it as au natural, as it were.
I know that this pitch has had some bad publicity, but it's absolutely magnificent.
Well, I think over the course of the year that it'll definitely get bad as it wears on, but we're getting at the perfect stage of the season just at the beginning. So no, it's in perfect condition and great for playing on.
We've skirted around the issues long enough. Let's talk about the team news tonight.
Well, I just bring Tommy Boyd back in for Oliver, just for a bit of experience more than anything else. Ollie started the season very well for us, but just that little bit of experience in there. And Jackie will start in midfield. That we can always, knowing in terms of personnel, we can always revert to formations, the change that the boys know so well. So and the rest as Chris Sutton and Henrik Larsson up front.
That's hardly a shock, I would say, but the way they performed. But you go into this game tonight, and I know there's been a lot of hype, Martin. And first of all, you've got an awful lot of respect for Ajax, haven't you?
Very much so, Chick. I mean, they're a top quality side, and I think that, their previous record, which eventually counts for absolutely nothing, is fantastic. The crowd are full of expectation tonight, but so are ours, and we're going to give it absolutely everything that we possibly can over the 2 games to try and get through.
You really do believe you can get a goal, don't you?
I think we're capable of scoring a goal. I don't want to make that many changes. Obviously, European football is totally different to your domestic game. But at the end of it all, if you start going completely defensive, or you start thinking very, very negatively, it infiltrates very, very quickly through. The lads are in positive frame of mind. They're very, very strong mentally, and it's up to them. And if we get a wee bit of luck in the evening, who knows?
Just to go back to that team news, obviously Bobby Petta is fit. You've no worry about him.
Sorry, well, obviously there was a worry on Saturday when he came off the field of play, and at that time, if you're thinking that it was either a great sort of a pull of some description or a severe cramp. I'm delighted that it was just cramp, but then he trained here last night and he said no reaction this morning, which was the important thing, and he starts the game for us.
Yeah, I know you better than to ask the question. You wouldn't take a gamble.
Well, I have taken gambles before. In that aspect in the cup final, but I think it's a different thing altogether. He's going to play for as long as he possibly can. We've got able replacements on the bench if that's the case, and I'm not expecting a 5-minute thing, but you never know. Somebody else might get injured in 5 minutes.
All the best tonight, man.
Thank you very much, Jim. Thank you.
Well, you can be absolutely sure that Chick Young certainly takes a gamble. Now, Bobby Petta in there, clearly it's not a gamble for Martin O'Neill, but an important inclusion, do you think, Craig?
A great inclusion, of course. We've got to remember that there's a substitute ruling here, and he's got subs on it. He's got 3 subs to bring on. So it's not really a gamble if you start with a player whom, you feel is a little unfit or you're a bit unsure about, because you can replace him. You can replace him early to save him. But Bobby Petta gives them great width and penetration. He's back in Holland, where he made his reputation. He'll be desperate to show the locals how good he is now, and I think it's a good inclusion.
We talked earlier on about the physicality, and Co-Adrian saying that if Celtic start up in the ante in that respect, and that they might struggle. John Hartson just recently signed on the bench, though. Yeah, he's on the bench. It would seem to me to be a duplication for Sutton, and therefore if Sutton goes out about his business there and tires, we can bring on Hartson, or you can bring on Hartson for, if Larsson might get heavy treatment, we don't know. But a wonderful substitute to have John Hartson, because he's powerful, he's got an eye for goal, and he's always a threat. So, I'm interested, about the defence there when he said Tom Boyd, and Martin made a very interesting statement for my money. He said, these players are adaptable, we can change our formation if required. Now, I do notice that Maklas is playing, which would mean to me that I think they'll play 3 up, which will mean that Celtic will need to be very vigilant at the back and maybe put a 4th player into the back line. Now, clearly, Ajax are wanting to get the goal tonight. This is their home tie. They want to come out with a win from that. So, does Celtic kind of sit back and try and go in the break, or do they play their normal game and try and get some goals? Well, I think it's vital in Europe to score away from home. That's been the killer for Scottish clubs for many years. They've lost, I don't know how many teams have lost in the away goal rule.
Now, our mentality has been, you know, get nothing in Amsterdam, that's a good result.
Yeah.
A far better result is 1-1, obviously.
Yeah.
So Celtic, I think, and Martin's a shrewd guy, I'm sure he will go for a goal. He's not got a great deal of European experience. I think a couple of times with Leicester, and they weren't too successful. But now he's with a far better team, a bigger club, and I'm sure they'll go for a goal.
Now, the man obviously who's most likely to score that goal is Henrik Larsson. He had a fantastic season last season and he broke his duck there on Saturday. He's a fantastic talent, isn't he?
Well, I don't think anything more needs to be said about Henrik Larsson. He is a wonderful exponent, terrific player. He too, back in Holland. You know, he came from Feyenoord and I saw him score a wonderful goal in the cup final for them, for his club side over there in Holland. And Lo is a Swedish international player. He played in Holland and they know him there. They're very wary of him. Look at the finish, he's cool, his timing is terrific, and his balance again, like Paul Lambert, terrific balance, the top class international players.
And for a slightly, well, he's not a huge guy, but he's got a tremendous amount of strength as well.
Yes, and brilliant in the air for his size, for his height. You know, he's really amazing. He hangs in there and he puts his neck into the headers. You know, he's got everything. And, you know, people say, would you not like to have Larsson as a Scottish player? If there were one player in the whole of Britain you would want in the Scottish team, it would be Larsson. But unfortunately we don't. But Celtic are very fortunate to have him.
Now, I mentioned earlier on that Celtic obviously won the European Cup, but in terms of a European legacy, Ajax are certainly the stronger team. But do you go along with what Martin O'Neill said, that the previous record means absolutely nothing to tonight's tie?
Well, I think tradition means quite a bit, but when the two teams go, it's 11 against 11, we keep saying that.
Yeah.
But when you've got a tradition of success, it's a great confidence booster. Now, Ajax have that, so have Celtic, but Ajax more recently. And they are very, very well respected in Europe, and therefore Celtic have got to respect them, even although it's a young team, an untried team at this level. But I think if Celtic got a goal, I don't think the Dutch relish going behind. And we've played their national team twice recently, and the national team hasn't scored a goal against us. And we've always threatened them, and I just feel they're a bit jittery, and if the Celtic score, Celtic could win over here, and I'm confident about that.
Right, OK. Now, I'm interested in this kind of battle between Co-Adriaans and Martin O'Neill. And who is it going to be a tactical battle? You think it's going to be the better manager of the two, or is it going to really be down to the players when he send them out after, you know, at the
Well, I think in this instance, tactics could be vital here because, you know, one manager's got to be proactive and take a decision when the game starts. And if Co-Adriaans puts out his team and he puts out his normal 3-4-3 formation, we've got to have a reaction from Martin, and I'm sure he will react. Alternatively, he could surprise us with the Celtic selection and play a very positive game against their back three. So I can't wait to see the start of this match because it'll be cat and mouse, and the coaches will be vital because they will pull the strings and they will negotiate and they will operate. How is my team going to operate against the opposite? Martin O'Neill convinced us in that interview that he has alternatives, and the players are sitting there in that dressing room knowing the alternative. So it's just a shout on and they change. OK. Well, Martin O'Neill says the previous record means nothing, but of course both Celtic and Ajax have met each other twice before in European competition, back in 1982 when Celtic were the victors, and in 1971 when Ajax came out on top on their way to the first of their 70s hat-trick of European Cup wins. Prepare yourself for total football.
George McCluskey and Charlie Nicholas with goals for Celtic there, and they could do with a couple like that this evening. Of course, this isn't the only Champions League qualifier involving a Scottish club happening tonight, and we'll be keeping you up to date with events at Ibrox, where Rangers are facing Turkish champions Fenerbahce. This is a tough one for Rangers over at Ibrox tonight, Craig. They put in an OK performance against NK Maribor last week, but they clearly have problems. They've got a lot of players missing. Yes,
I think it is a difficult game for Rangers because they have so many players missing. And you know, I was really disappointed to hear about Barry Ferguson today. He seems to be out for at least the foreseeable future, and that could impinge on our own selection too. But you know, Rangers have a difficult tie because the Turkish champions are full of fight, full of fire, and a bit temperamental. So it could be quite a fiery encounter. Very good referee over there, Mr. Meyer, who's refereeing our game coming up against Belgium.
But Rangers will need to come away with this one with a win tonight, because they won't be wanting to go over to Turkey and trying to chase the game.
No, I think if they keep the Turks from scoring, if they keep a clean sheet tonight, that'll be a major achievement. And if they go over there and score, which I think Rangers can do, if they're at full strength or nearer full strength, they're capable of scoring away from home. They've got good striking potential when they're all fit. So, you know, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Rangers, but I think they have a more difficult assignment tonight than Celtic. Celtic really have nothing, well, have a lot to lose in the tie, but when you're away from home, you can be a bit more cavalier. You can try and score over there. You've got them coming, you've got Ajax coming to Celtic Park. Rangers have got to get a good result tonight, otherwise it could be very difficult for them.
I suppose very briefly as well, news that Barry Ferguson is actually out for tonight's match, and according to the web page, he's out for a couple of weeks. According to some of the newspapers, he's out for 6 weeks. We've got this Scotland match coming up on the 1st of September, essential game against Croatia. Not the best of news for you.
No, not too good news, but we heard that at the weekend, and his agent John Viola phoned in to this programme, I think, at the weekend to say, no, it's not too bad. He'll be ready in a day or two. But I believe, or I heard, he's been put into a light plaster for a few days to immobilise the injury. So hopefully he'll be fit, but he will be missed tonight. They don't have a lot of midfield cover, 2 guys away, and of course Alberts is away and Nellinger is unfit. So Rangers are really struggling. I think Rayner's unfit as well. So I've got a bit of sympathy tonight for Dick Advocaat, because he's struggling in terms of putting a top-class team on the pitch.
OK. Well, now you can do tonight, of course, on BBC Scotland, we've got live coverage of Ajax against Celtic from the Amsterdam Arena, and I believe we can go there now and catch a flavour of the scenes. There's the Celtic fans, 5,000 Celtic fans tonight in Amsterdam, travelling from Scotland to hopefully see their side take a victory away from Amsterdam. And 2 weeks' time, of course, the return match is at Celtic Park, and you can see that match live on BBC One Scotland as well. Craig, they're going to be extremely hyped up, the Celtic fans tonight.
Well, they're great fans. They are, I think, second to the Scotland fans, they're the best, because they are so supportive wherever they go. They're good-natured. I'm really distressed to hear of that sad shooting incident, but I don't think it would be a provoked incident. I hope it was an isolated one and unprovoked, but terrific fans, great to play in front of them. Their singing is wonderful, and I know the players love the support they get at Celtic Park.
Absolutely. Now we can actually have a look at the Celtic team now as well. There it is. We've spoken about it. Bobby Petta there, Drie Agat. Big game for him tonight.
Yes, Agat wide on the right, Petta wide on the left. The penetration there will be very important for Celtic, and Agat's not got the experience at this level, but he's a fast and he's a resourceful player, and I do think that Agat will be a key player tonight, but he's against their best player, in my opinion, Kivo.
Johan Mjällby as well in the lineup for Celtic.
Mjällby, a big stout defender, he'll be required. My class up front, I think Abelardes will be playing there. I'm not sure, I haven't got their team yet, we'll see it in a minute, but Mjällby has had a great start to the season, and I'm sure that he'll more than hold his own in this company.
OK, now we've got, as you can see, more pictures there. There's the atmosphere in that arena. You've been there, and let's have a look now quickly at the Ajax side. And any surprises there for you, Craig?
No, I think it's as predicted. I thought Maxwell may have come in, the Brazilian player, but he's not there. I think it's as predicted. They've got very, very good defenders and very competent defender. Passing in, as I said earlier, and Yakubu, very fast, a bit small. This is where I think Celtic can score. Get some crosses in on top of this guy, and big Sutton could out-jump him confidently. Goalkeeper experience, he was understudy for years to Van der Sar, but he's waited his time, and he's a wonderful shot stopper. But Kivu, I've mentioned, Mido down the left-hand side is a flyer,
Yeah.
down that wide left-hand side. So maybe Tom Boyd will be in that area,
Right.
deployed against him. I'm not too sure, but we'll see when the Celtic team lines up.
Now, by the magic of television, while all that was happening, we were being joined in the studio by Everton defender Alan Stubbs, who's Russell Latterby's actually taxi driver brought him in this evening. That's why just a wee bit late, of course. Welcome to the studio, Alan.
Thank you.
Now, it was obviously a long journey up from Everton, but you've just joined Everton and already you're on the score sheet. I believe you scored the other evening. What's that all about?
No, I couldn't believe it. I think it was more to do with the power of the cross. It hit me head more than me heading it. You know, so obviously things are going well. You know, so looking forward to the start of the season.
It's a big sort of return to the spiritual home for you, but you had 5 great years at Celtic, and I know you have great emotional ties up here. What's your feelings about this match tonight? Celtic back in Europe, the chance to qualify for the Champions League.
Yeah, it looks like it's on paper. It looks like it's a great game. And they've got a young team. You know, Celtic have obviously on a high at the moment. You know, everything they seem to be doing. You know, they can't stop winning. You know, which is a great thing to have. You know, so they'll be going into the game with a lot of confidence and hoping to come away with a result.
OK, well, thanks very much, Alan. But we'll hear more of your thoughts a little later in the programme. We'll hear from Craig as well. But as you can see, the fans, well, someone's standing there with no shirt on, and the fans are coming out on the pitch. Let's head over now to the Amsterdam Arena for live coverage of the first half of Ajax against Celtic, with Eric Black providing the analysis and commentary from Rob McLean.
Thanks, Dougie, and welcome to these magical scenes from the Amsterdam Arena. It's not like the old days for Ajax, for a club which won the European Cup 3 times in the 70s, 3 times in a row, and then again midway through the 90s. But success has eluded them, not just on the European stage in the last few years, but even in domestic football as well. They haven't won the Dutch title for 4 seasons, and they're rebuilding with an incredibly young side. That's the Celtic side tonight, as the photographs are taken pre-match, and certainly a lot of experience about the Celtic selection. And Ajax, sign of the times that only 2 Dutch players in that selection, and a couple of surprises too in terms of who Adrians has put out to start the match tonight. The Arveladze, the Georgian international, has been in dispute with the club, and it was thought that the best he could hope for tonight was a place on the bench as he tries to play his way back into favour. But he starts. Henrik Larsson, never much doubt he was going to be a starter for Celtic tonight. There's the lineup, and the big questions answered in the appearance of Boyd and McNamara on that team sheet. Tom Boyd replaces Olivier Tebele, and Jackie McNamara gets the nod for the central midfield pair in the absence of the suspended Alan Thompson, with Lubo Moravcik held in reserve on the bench. It's a mouth-watering prospect, this, Eric, is it not?
Oh, it certainly is, Rob. It's a wonderful, wonderful atmosphere. It's really European football night. It's a big European night, and it'll be very interesting to see how the teams line up. We had news earlier there that Ajax might go with a back 4, 2 defensive midfield players, and go with 2 wide players with a striker up and 1 off them. So that would certainly pose Celtic maybe the problems initially, but I'm sure Martin O'Neill knows all about that, and he's capable of adjusting it.
Almost full to capacity as the match gets underway. 50,000 inside the Amsterdam Arena, and a match of huge significance for Celtic and Martin O'Neill. They swept the boards in domestic football last season, but can they take things to a new level in Europe? They've been underachievers in recent times in Europe. They've never qualified for the Champions League, and there have been disappointing defeats in recent times against the likes of Bordeaux and Lyon, Croatia, Zagreb and Zurich, and a lot of people would reckon it's time Celtic delivered on the big stage. An early free kick opportunity for them. Johan Mjalby has gone forward to support Chris Sutton. A Agat in the box, Larsson and Valhaeren as well. Bobby Petta is there, but he looks as if he's going to leave it to Neil Lennon. An early test of the Ajax defence. Firmly headed away by Christian Chivu, the Romanian captain, only 20. And big roar going around the arena as Ajax mount their first attack. That's aimed at Ikedia, the little Nigerian. Back with Chivu. Breaking forward, Mido, the Egyptian. Not too troublesome for the Celtic defence, played away by Tom Boyd and flicked out by Didier Agat. That's a useful ball in. Good delivery on the cross ball, and that was Nikos Maklas, the Greek international, with the header.
Yeah, one thing's for sure, Rob, if they get balls into the box, Maklas is a lethal finisher. I think he was a golden boot about 2-3 years ago, so he's a lethal finisher, and if they can get that type of quality into the box, then Celtic certainly will have a game in their hands. 34 goals in 32 games he scored for Vitesse Arnhem a couple of seasons back, which won him that Golden Boot award, and he is a clear threat. 44 times capped by the Greek national side. That was Chivu winning the header against Agat. Lennon under pressure, plays the ball away to Tom Boyd. Boyd, who hasn't had any first-team action for Celtic this season, but Martin O'Neill untroubled about the prospect of slotting him straight back in place of Olivier Tepeli, who played in the back three at the weekend. Johan Njalbi, one of the cornerstones of the Celtic defence. His throw aimed at the head of Henrik Larsson, but he was being watched very closely by Christian Chivu. Paul Lambert, who surprised even himself at the start of the season with his goal touch. Good skills from Larsson. A chance for Peta, possibly, but very quickly off his line was Fred Grimm, the Amsterdammer. Good safe hands. That's given away to Neil Lennon. Chris Sutton trying to thread that through for Henrik Larsson. Yakubu, the interceptor. Chivu, awkward ball. Oh, I don't think he practiced that one on the training ground, Tom Boyd. Controlled between his knees, but it was effective. Rob Douglas with the clearance, and Chris Sutton sent sprawling by Chivu's challenge. Free kick. Celtic settling to the task. Agat pushed that too far ahead, but he'll be looking to ask some serious questions early on, Eric, of Chivu. Yeah, no doubt about it. I think that's the key to the game at this moment in time. It's the two wide players. It's whether Peta and Agat can push up quickly and get possession of the ball, which obviously will take their two wide players back, or will the Ajax manage to keep possession and get their wide players on the game. So it's a difficult, interesting, tactical one at this moment in time.
Trabelsi, the Tunisian, played up, and useful control as well from Maklas. But again, a poor pass, hands possession back to Celtic, but Henrik Larsson couldn't keep it. Yakubu, one of two Nigerians in the Ajax side tonight, and that's Petri Pasanen, the Finnish international. It's a multinational setup at Ajax, only two Dutch players starting the match for them, and an average age of 22. Quite incredible at this sort of level, but some impressive youngsters they have, including this man Chivu. Van der Vaart, young Dutchman, he's just 18. Yakubu, good run from Ikedia, but couldn't quite catch it.
No, he looks an exceptional talent, absolutely lightning with the ball, both at his feet and without the ball. And at times there, once or twice, he's been 1v1 with Valgaeren, which obviously I'm sure Celtic will try and quickly get cover across to him. But he looks a real threat offensively, but certainly when he loses the ball, Rob, he doesn't look too interested in getting it back.
Nearly 6 minutes gone. The BBC live match. Ajax 0, Celtic 0 in the Amsterdam Arena. Yakubu. Muscled out of it there by Chris Sutton. Keen to play football out from the back, the Nigerian, but Chris Sutton wasn't having it. Lambert and Lennon combine, they do it so well. Sutton, good touch. That's useful. And Grimm panicked. Peta! Celtic are ahead!
The Dutchman puts them in front in Amsterdam. A bad mistake by goalkeeper Grimm, living up to his surname. 1-0 Celtic.
Oh yeah, it's a wonderful turn from Chris Sutton. He took the ball in so well, protected it so well. Here we see it here, Robbie's first touch is excellent. He knows where he wants to put it. Lovely clip. Goalkeeper panics completely. He could let that go through, but what a wonderful composed finish by Bobby Pepper. What a wonderful start for Celtic.
Just placed into the roof of the net by Bobby Petta. Such a miserable season last season. Injury denied him a lot of action, but that is a sweet moment as he returns to his native country and fires Celtic ahead. And Fred Grimm will not be too keen to watch back the videotape of that moment as he palmed the ball straight into the path of Petta, but it was a cool and a clinical finish, and that gives Celtic the start they dreamed of. Neil Lennon in possession, trying to pick out Larsson. And the songs being sung in Amsterdam are Celtic songs. Rafael van der Vaart for Ajax to Christian Chivu. Peeling off was Nikos Maklas, waiting for the pass to reach him. Johan Mjalby was in the way. Yakubu. That skids away from Trabelsi. Stayed very cool, the central defender for Ajax, but maybe a bit too casual there with the pass.
Yeah, a bit of slack passing there, Robert. It'll be really interesting now to see how they react to going a goal down. We certainly knew that if they'd scored the goal quickly, they'd got the confidence up, they would have certainly been an exceptional team. The questions will now be asked of their mentality, and let's see how they answer. It's very important now that Celtic can keep possession of the ball, at least for the next 10-15 minutes. Larsson obviously still a threat, but if we can get Lambert on the ball, then I'm sure he'll keep possession.
And Rob Douglas's towel getting him into a bit of bother with officialdom. He's being asked to remove it from the side netting, and that was the cause of that little delay. Much ado about not a lot. Sutton, who started the game so well for Celtic, and that was Daniel Cruz, Colombian youth international. He's just 20. I suppose the oddities about the Ajax team are the players of over 22, 23. They stick out, and Bobby Petta a standout for that 7th-minute strike, which puts Celtic in front. Yakubu with the clearance. Names like Cruyff and Kroll and Neeskens and Rijkaard and Van Basten and Bergkamp all echo around the memory banks of the Ajax fans, but it's a new era for them. They hope they're building towards something successful, and they've got an awful lot of talent here. But Celtic are hopeful that they can be good enough, experienced enough, strong enough to get through this qualifier, which unlocks the door to the Champions League. Ajax slipping and sliding. It is a surface which can cut up if the dampness gets in. There was talk about putting the roof on tonight in the event of rain, but as it is, it's bright and it's dry, and the roof is back. And the pitch open to the elements. It's been replayed 25 times since the stadium was built, and that's only 6 years ago, Eric. That's an amazing statistic, isn't it?
It certainly is. It's obviously it's a wonderful stadium, but I can imagine that there would be problems with the grass and getting natural light into it. But they seem to have remedied it. It's a wonderful, wonderful pitch this evening. We were down there earlier, and it certainly looks wonderful. So no excuses.
Van der Vaart with the throw, chested down by Maklas. Played wide by Yakubu to Ukedia. Tiny figure. Great balance and control. The pressure being applied to Daniel Cruz by Bobby Petta. Back it goes all the way to goalkeeper Grimm. And that might be a name which spawns a few headlines in the morning papers, were the scoreline to stay like this. Yakubu again, it's poor distribution. This hit though by Valharan, helping him out, his defensive buddy. Johan Mjalby, back it goes to Rob Douglas, and no threats so far in that Celtic rear guard. 11 minutes gone. Sutton loses it. Chivu gets it back from Mido. Good movement up front from Maklas. Back from Lambert.
That's a wonderful play from Paul Lambert there, getting back very quickly to help out the back three, and any lack of touch by the striker, the Ajax striker, he's there to mop it up and quickly regain possession for Celtic.
Henrik Larsson, we haven't seen too much of him so far, but that's always a dangerous phrase to use, because he's almost at his most dangerous when he's at his most quiet. Agat. Bit of wrestling going on to try to deny him the space he was looking for in the wide position. Mido, the Egyptian, 18 certainly doesn't look it. He scored half a dozen goals in Ajax's last warm-up match in the last midweek. Sutton's layoff intercepted by Shibu. Yakubu, Ikeja against Valharan. And Jos Valharan will hope that he can catch that. He's quick enough to get there to prevent that going behind for a corner kick, and he's given a passing option by Neil Lennon. Petter's lost it. Nikos Maklas has it. Petter working hard, adding industry to his early goal touch. Henrik Larsson was knocked over by Passanen, free kick. Dutch fans don't fancy that decision, giving against their young central defender. If you've just joined us, you'll see the scoreline. Ajax 0, Celtic 1, Bobby Pettit. Sutton's touch, Larsson, instant control, Sutton again trying to drive his way into the box. It breaks back for Henrik Larsson, waiting for his moment to lay the ball off to Pettit. McNamara into the penalty box. He's got some room as well. If Pettit can find him. In goes Sutton. Lost his footing at the key moment. Kept in by Agat. That's a throw of Shibu. The pace and the power of Didier Agat is such an important weapon to Celtic. Hesitation from Lambert and allowing Mido the chance to clear. But Celtic keeping Ajax hemmed in.
Celtic have started very, very positively. Again, Bobby Pettit showing just how quick he has. Wonderful quick feet and a great delivery. And I think if Sutton hadn't been impeded just slightly, it was another goal chance for Celtic.
It's a goal kick of Didier Agat. I'm sure Martin O'Neill might be charged one of these days with daylight robbery for what he paid Hibs to get Agat to Celtic. I think £35,000 was the initial fee, and to say he's blossomed is putting it mildly, and Celtic now with a big asset on their hands. He's putting pressure on Shifu. Celtic doing well at closing down, shutting the space. Neil Lennon prominent there, and Chris Sutton using his physical presence to great advantage there against Yakubu. Ajax haven't been allowed to settle by Celtic, and that's been crucial so far. Lennon trying to create. Out wide is Agat. Useful ball in, it was curling away from Grimm and headed behind by Passanen.
Yeah, wonderful delivery against Celtic. That's twice now in the last 2 to 3 minutes that Celtic have had very, very good crosses into a very dangerous area. Grimm, as the goalkeeper, couldn't possibly come into that area. And if we can continue with that service and that type of delivery, then Celtic will certainly score again.
And they have a set-piece opportunity here. McNamara and Pettit over the ball. Bobby Petter's cross is wicked. It's off the crossbar. It's palmed away by Grimm. Ajax survive, and Celtic within inches of going 2 ahead.
Yeah, very, very close again there. Just as we said prior to that, a great delivery into the box. Larsson getting the flick on it. Didn't quite go over the line. Lovely glancing header, but that's a real threat, and they really are causing them problems with Sutton and Larsson's ability in the air.
Larsson This time no challenge on Grimm, and he's able to grab it. But he is a one-rattled goalkeeper. After only 16.5 minutes, he's been busy and beaten once already. Free kick given against the late Celtic challenge there, quickly taken. Mjalby's clearance, Larsson's layoff. McNamara to Peta, has switched sides, having come over to take the corner kick on the right. He's stayed on this side. 3 Ajax players around him. Back to Ajax, further back to Mjalby. Good header from Shivu. Mjalby cleverly directing that to Agat. Yakubu got there before Larsson. But Ajax unable to be creative in these early stages. It's Celtic who are causing all the problems.
Yeah, Celtic are looking very, very comfortable, Rob, at this moment in time. Ajax still have a threat, and it's important that they continue to be disciplined defensively, Celtic, but they're doing that very well, and what they are doing is pressing the game wonderfully. They're waiting to the right time. They know Ajax want to play out from the back. They're allowing them possession just in the mid area there, and then suddenly they're all pushing forward. Lennon, McNamara and the wing-backs are pushing up, so it's a very disciplined and very organised defensive structure, and a very good start for Celtic.
And maybe signs of the frustration setting in with Ajax, and that long ball played down the line, which sped away from the Ajax attackers, and they were unable to make anything of it. So still no test of the goalkeeping of Robert Douglas so far. As far as Celtic are concerned, long may that continue. Larsson was the target. Van der Vaart got his head to it. That was Lennon. Rafael van der Vaart again. And it's now with Trabelsi, the Tunisian. Useful long ball, picking out Nikos Maklas. Great control on the chest. But there's experience and good reading of the game from Tom Boyd. Right place, right time. And you can see exactly why Martin O'Neill chose to pick him. Olivier Tebele, the player to miss out. He's been in the back three for Celtic's first 2 SPL games. Larsson. Drilled ball to Agat. He's away from Shivu. Didier Agat has scored! It's 2-0 Celtic! 19 minutes gone. Superb pass from Larsson. Then it was down to sheer pace and precision on the finish. Grimm beaten for a second time.
Oh, again, great striking partnership. Sutton, wonderful layoff. Larsson, it's inch perfect into Agat's feet, and what wonderful pace to get in front of the defender, and a very composed finish. What a wonderful goal. Here we see him again. Great pace, lifts his head, knows where he's going to put it, side foots it across the goalkeeper, and it's safely into the back of the net.
Real quality as well on that volleyed pass from Henrik Larsson, and then Shivu was a beaten man. You could see it in his face there. He just couldn't catch Agat. He had him for pace, and that was a very cool finish. Agat's criticised sometimes for the quality of his finishing. Mido for Ajax into the box, headed away by Neil Lennon. Ajax looking for a quick response, and say they're stunned is probably putting it mildly. Van der Vaart now on the ball. It's beyond Douglas, and Bobby Peta knew he couldn't take any chances. Ikedia was in behind him, and so he's nodded that behind, and Ajax have their first corner kick of the match. It's taken short, which pulls Bobby Peta out. Arveladze with a chance. Now it's Shivu, passed into the box. It's well defended as well. And it was Jos Valhaden who was in the way. Vital bit of rock-solid defending from him, because there were 3 Ajax players around him. He got there first and forced the ball away.
Yeah, very good defending again. Everybody there back in numbers to defend the corner. The ball breaks out. There was a real threat from Shivu. Lovely touch to open up a shooting opportunity, but very, very quick defending, very brave defending from the 3 centre-backs, and they've managed to pressure the straw.
It was a dangerous pass, and it played Jos Valhaden right into trouble. He does well to recover, and he maybe does well too to escape a caution there, because I reckon he'd a handful of Ikedia's shirt initially after he slipped.
Yeah, he's just tried to turn inside. I mean, he knows where the man is, but Ikedia's all over the top of him here, and to be fair to Valhallen, he does very, very well to recover the situation.
Mido's cross, but the young Egyptian will be disappointed with that. It's straight into the arms of Robert Douglas, and none of the Ajax frontmen able to get close enough to make a challenge. Chris Sutton, such a valuable player for Celtic so far in the match, doing a pound of work, and Ajax being pressured into making foul challenges like that one from Shivu on Larsson. Henrik Larsson was between Shivu and the ball, and he was simply flattened by the Romanian. And Celtic have the free kick, approaching the midway point in the first half. Ajax 0, Celtic 2. Peta and Agat, and if you're putting on a wee bet, I don't know if the wager before the match, had Celtic scored 2 goals, have been in favour of Peta and Agat. Not exactly the most prolific of marksmen, but 2 great finishes tonight.
No, you're absolutely right, Rob. They've been instrumental, both in terms of pushing Ajax back, pressing the ball, and to boot, they've given us a goal each. So it's absolutely wonderful start for both of them. And again, Agat really keen to get forward, and his pace is a real threat constantly for Ajax.
It's a great interception by Agat. Henrik Larsson's cross. Grimm again looking unsettled. McNamara forces it back and just trundles into the keeper's hands. But if Celtic can get more quality ball into the box, there can be more goals for them here in Amsterdam. That seems to be clear the way this first half has gone. But in saying that, they also want to keep the door shut at the other end. Rafael van der Vaart on the ball. Wide for Ikedia. Played in low, difficult bouncing ball. It came off the shins of Tom Boyd and spun back to goalkeeper Douglas. Missed by Valhallen, but Tom Boyd was doing what he's paid for and covering in behind. Chris Sutton took a bang on the head in that challenge with Shivu. Larsson's layoff. Great awareness from Larsson of exactly where Didier Agat was. Slows it right down, but he's well capable of speeding it back up. Shivu comes out on top this time. It's cool defending. He was beaten all ends up when Agat scored. Beaten for pace. Free kick given against Boyd for the challenge on Nikos Maklas, the 28-year-old Greek striker. Arveladze, the Georgian, plays it wide for the overlapping Trabelsi. Ikedia with Valhallen at his back. Cruz. Daniel Cruz gets it back. Van der Vaart on his left foot. Shot deflected. Mido! Good save, Robert Douglas. That could prove to be just as important as the 2 goals from Peta and Agat. He was well positioned and he beat the shot away from Mido. And a warning to Celtic that Ajax are on the way back. Shota Arveladze operating just behind the strikers, playing just off Maklas. Mido pushes the ball beyond Agat, and it's a great recovery from Didier Agat. He always is confident in his own mind that he has the pace to get back. Yeah, here we see the chance, Rob. Great 1-2, nice build-up work. Miss-hit, lands at the feet of the Egyptian. He's tried to finish it in strength. It's a good strike. And Rob Douglas, great credit, he stood long enough to try and deflect the shot away. Mido, he looks a threat. And that's off Neil Lennon. Out for a throw, not a corner kick. An Egyptian youth international, Mido. Here he is again. Played that in first time, lofted it towards the far post. More in hope than expectation. And again, Douglas was untroubled. No Ajax challenge. Long ball downfield. Hassanin heads it away. Free kick given in favour of Arveladze, and he's in a hurry to get on with it. Ajax giving a lot of the ball to Mido. They see potential in what he can do down the left side. Egyptian teenager. Hassanen, the Finn. From Nigeria, Nikedia. Trabelsi heading for the byline. And that's a goal kick. And it's a long way back. The BBC live match in Amsterdam, and Adriaans, the Ajax head coach, could be happier. I think that's maybe putting it mildly. His side's 2-0 down, and he won't be at all impressed with the way they've defended. But we would have to hand Celtic a lot of credit for the way they've forced Ajax into errors.
Yeah, no doubt about it, but he'll be a very unhappy man. It's a disastrous start for Ajax. I just feel now that they don't have any leadership. They lack that leadership, that command, that experience to lift the squad, to lift the players now, and it doesn't seem to be coming from anywhere. A very young squad, and it's showing at this moment in time.
Lennon's free kick finds Chris Sutton. Henrik Larsson! Well, that's more than half a chance in Henrik Larsson's book, and he's disappointed that he couldn't have made more of that. Well set up by Sutton. And he's burst the net from just that sort of position before.
Yeah, that's certainly a chance that Henrik Larsson would put down in his book as a real chance. A difficult one to take. It's coming over his shoulder. He has to volley it, but a real other opportunity again there for Celtic, and they're going to create chances, and I think they could be in for more goals.
Yakubu, Van der Vaart into the feet of Maklas, back for Arveladze. It slipped under his boot. Jackie McNamara was there. That's a heavy return pass from Sutton. Ajax have it back. Van der Vaart again. Mido. Now for Shivu. So impressive for Romania at Euro 2000. That's not impressive at all. The passing, which gives the ball away. Neat touch from Henrik Larsson. Driving forward from midfield, Paul Lambert. He was having his shirt held, and the Spanish referee, Mr. Nieto, waiting for an advantage, which wasn't forthcoming, so Celtic have a free kick. Just 1 minute short of the half hour. Things going better for Martin O'Neill than he could have dared hope. Bobby Petta, quick feet, good control. Valharan reacting quickly. Now Mjalby. Aimed at Larsson, chested down for Chris Sutton. Again, a good touch on the ball to keep possession. Sets up Didier Agat, and Sutton and Larsson head for the middle. There's Larsson. Yakubu, unsettled by the presence of Sutton. Back for Agat. Powerfully hit cross. Wouldn't quite come down for Larsson. Yakubu forces it away, but only as far as Lennon and Lambert, and now Mjalby. Again, it's Agat. Chris Sutton trying to get on the end of it. Hassanen headed it clear. That's Boyd. Flipped back by Arveladze to Shivu. Nikedia peeling away to the wide position, picking up some room. Back goes Bobby Petta. Cruz, Van der Vaart, and Mido. Two Celtic players went for that. McNamara and Valharan. Lack of communication there, but it didn't cost Celtic that time. Yakubu to Trabelsi, 24-year-old Tunisian. Nikedia. Again in a threatening position, but his cross cut out by Tom Boyd. Not quite the delivery into the box he was looking for there. And Celtic coped pretty comfortably. Now they try to spark an attack. Lennon and Lambert setting up Agat. Lambert available again. McNamara. Jackie McNamara linking the play together. Mjalby's pass into the feet of Chris Sutton. McNamara was there, bursting through. Pace and power from him. but no free kick. Shivu twisting away from Sutton, back to Grimm. And I don't think the Ajax fans were feeling totally confident as he juggled the ball with his feet there on the goal line, because he's not had a pleasant evening so far.
Oh, it's been a bit of a disaster for him, and he now looks a bit shaky. Rob, any crosses that are coming into the box now, he's not keen to come to them. The defenders are not the biggest, and they have no confidence now in him, and he's really started very, very poorly. And now with the ball at his feet, he looked rather shaky, so there's certainly a possibility for Celtic.
Lennon squares it, Lambert slips, McNamara doesn't. A delicate chip through looking for Valharen. And that's an offside flag, which spares any blushes for Ajax this time. The scoreline from Ibrox is Rangers 0, Fenerbahce 0. Still square there, but just look at the scoreline here. Ajax 0, Celtic 2. First half goals from Bobby Petta and from Didier Agathe. It's been a superb performance so far from Celtic. They'll hope to maintain this level, and they would certainly be hoping at this stage that there'll be more scoring opportunities coming along, because they really have had the Ajax defence struggling. Van der Vaart, the Dutch teenager. Shivu, Romanian skipper. He'd fired in that cross, but it's well away from Maklas. And Bobby Petta was able to turn the ball out of play. Van der Vaart, Passanen, Ikedia, 2 against 1 wins it for Celtic. Neil Lennon in possession, and that's off the little Nigerian for a Celtic throw. Van der Vaart in the midfield for Ajax, Eric, and I think it's points off for the first one. I call him Van der Valk.
He is an absolutely fantastic football player. He's only 18 years of age, but he's standing head and shoulders above most of the other players in his own team at this moment in time, and he looks a wonderful prospect. He's got great vision, he's got a wonderful touch in the ball, and is so composed for a man or for a boy of his age.
There's Arveladze we saw there as well, the Georgian who's been in dispute with the club. He was refusing to sign a new contract, and he was frozen out of the first team picture until tonight, and he's suspicious that Ajax just want him back for this game, and there's going to be nothing really at the end of it as far as he's concerned. But he's back in his customary position, playing just off the front, and he is a definite threat for Celtic, and Mark O'Neill will know all about what he can do, an experienced Georgian international. It's good play from Paul Lambert, nipping the ball off the toes of Mido, but it's at the expense of a corner kick. With not much more than 10 minutes left in the first half. Concentration on the face of Rob Douglas. That's the man we've just been speaking about. Van der Vaart with the corner kick. It's flicked away by McNamara. Ikedia onto it. And that's a forgettable effort at goal from him. It's been a miserable first half for Ajax. It's gone better than Celtic had dared hope, as I said, and well, it's the stuff that nightmares are made of, I think, for Co-Adrians.
Well, no doubt about it. You'll be sitting down there just wondering how he can turn this around. I don't think he's got any more experienced players on the bench. He may try and change the system, but the players that are out there are used to this system. But at this moment in time, they really do not seem to be threatening Celtic at all. And Celtic are looking very, very comfortable and becoming more and more comfortable as the game goes on.
Bobby Petta trying to wrestle himself clear of the challenge by Trabelsi. He couldn't do so, and a free kick is his. Another chance for Celtic to threaten. Valharen and Mjalby had gone forward to support Sutton and Larsson. In from Lennon, headed away by Shivu. Van der Vaart allowed to progress by Celtic, who now funnel back behind the ball. Cruz making the run, Agathe making the challenge and wins it for Celtic. Chris Sutton reacting quickly. And now Agathe stayed very cool in a cluttered midfield there, found Lennon. And that's a heavy challenge from Pasanen on Larsson. Didn't get the ball, he certainly got the Celtic striker, and Larsson is still on the ground, just getting back to his feet now. But that looked to be a challenge that went for the man rather than the ball, as Ajax contemplate a substitution. And the first half is not yet over. And Fury going now with the frustration for Ajax, reacting badly to decisions going against them.
Yeah, here we can see he does very well to win the ball. A bit of frustration, desperate to try and press the ball. And I think he actually comes round the side of McNamara there. So I think his frustration there was probably well guided.
Yeah, a booking that Van der Vaart, by the looks of that, didn't deserve. But they certainly won't get themselves anywhere by tugging at the referee's shirt. That won't go down too well. Fred Grimm sprinting out to the edge of his penalty box before hurling the ball clear to Mido. Misjudgment by Mjalby, and now he's got a long chase back. Mido's cross picks out Ikeria. Celtic looking a little bit stretched, but he needed to get that controlled quickly and played in. Now Cruz. Good run from Daniel Cruz right into the danger area. A great cut out by Jos Valhaeren. Maklas was waiting, Arveladze was waiting, Mido was in the danger area as well. And Valhaeren so valuable there for Celtic. Four in the box for Ajax, two just outside. In from Van der Vaart, and out comes Rob Douglas to claim it. But what must be infuriating the Ajax coaches at the sideline is that there was no challenge there on the Celtic keeper.
No, it's a great take from Robert Douglas, but again, no real threat in the air. Reasonably well-delivered ball at the time, but still there's no real threat in the air for Ajax, and it's a comfortable take, and it was very unfortunate not to start an attack. Wonderful run for Henrik Larsson.
Ikedia again taking too long to get the ball under control, and that was all the encouragement Neil Lennon needed. Celtic have poured a lot of effort into this first half to go with the undoubted ability, and they've looked a very, very strong unit in the first half. Petri Pasanen played up to Nikos Maklas, good control, good layoff. Ikedia cuts in, gets the break of the ball. Here's a chance for Ajax. It's Maklas. Douglas pans it away, but it's forced in by Arveladze. Ajax pull a goal back 6 minutes from half-time, and it's Shota Arveladze, the man who came in from the cold, and he's reawakened Ajax hopes.
Yeah, it was a wonderful burst of pace. A bit fortunate there, some slack defending from the Celtic players. Maklas turns. Douglas can only parry it to the side here. Wonderful turn for Maklas, doesn't quite catch it. Douglas stops it, might have hoped to get it further away, but good finishing, good following up from Arveladze, and that's the last thing Celtic needed just before half-time.
That could prove to be a real shot in the arm for Ajax, and immediately Rob Douglas gives the ball away with a poor kick-out, and Celtic will want to get themselves settled down and start playing the way they were playing. Tom Boyd ushered that ball behind, showed all his experience and know-how, and Rob Douglas being told to get on with the game. And I wonder if there's a question mark against the Celtic keeper that he didn't push that shot out wider rather than into the path of Arveladze for the goal.
Maybe he was slightly surprised with how quickly Maklas turned and had the shot. He'd probably be a lot happier if it had gone slightly wider. He did get down to it. It was a difficult one to stop, but he might have wished that had gone slightly further wider.
That's all for after-match chat for now. Ajax back in the game at 2-1 down, and that's a scoreline which will sound a whole lot better to them than it did. Celtic 2-0 up and threatening to go further clear. Now just one goal the difference between these two, and Celtic certainly won't want to concede another one before half-time. They would have happily settled for any sort of lead going into the away dressing room at the interval. And there's a yellow card for Neil Lennon for that tug at the shorts. So a yellow card for either side now. Van der Vaart for Ajax and Lennon for Celtic.
Yeah, again, it's just frustration, Rob. He's lost possession of the ball carelessly. He's unhappy about doing that, and he's tried very hard to win the ball back. But Celtic still, I think, in control, but Ajax certainly coming into the game now that they've scored that goal.
Matlas, who was instrumental in the goal which Ajax pulled back. It was his shot which was touched away by Douglas, and it was Arveladze who supplied the finishing touch. And now a set-piece situation of which Celtic will be wary, and Rob Douglas making sure that he's got everything right in front of him. Rafael van der Vaart is over the ball, and Petri Pasanen, the defender, is just behind him. It's the thin yellow line just inside the box for Celtic. Van der Vaart right into the wall, tries again, and this time with the right foot it flashed well wide. So that's well defended by Celtic, and disappointment for the youngster.
Yeah, good solid defending from the wall there, stood strong, hasn't clipped it as well as he liked. He's got a wonderful touch in the ball, and I'm sure that he would have liked to have at least tested Robert Douglas on that occasion.
A little bit of Greek back chat from Nikos Matlas. Douglas aims at Sutton. That was Mido who won the header. Paul Lambert. Mjalby. Henrik Larsson hanging in the air for the header. It breaks back to him as well off Yakubu. Valharan, Peta. It's a loose one from Jos Valharan. And Celtic don't really want to offer any encouragement to Ajax at this stage. Just a minute and a half of the regulation 45 left, but that's given away by Amido. Straight at Neil Lennon, a gap to Larsson. His pass blocked by Yakubu. And the Larsson studs were showing against Arveladze. Free kick. And it's the Georgian himself in possession. I gather we're having a few picture problems at the moment. We'll hope to get that sorted out. Van der Vaart gets it back. It's chipped over the top. Apologies again for the loss of pictures from Amsterdam. You can be sure that we're working on it as Celtic try to preserve their 2-1 lead with just 30 seconds left of the first half, plus any stoppage time to be added on. Neil Lennon to Johan Mjalby, played in field to Sutton, lays it off to Larsson, midway inside the Ajax half. Agat's cross is a clever one. A cross came to Rebelsi to cut out the danger for Ajax, and now they push forward, but it's a poor pass out of defence from Petri Pasanen, and it's gone out of play, and Celtic have a throw. 2 minutes to be added, and we've now played exactly 45. 2 minutes between us and the half-time whistle. Celtic in possession with Mjalby on the halfway line, played forward towards Larsson. It breaks back to Daniel Cruz for Ajax in the middle of the midfield, plays it wide to the overlapping fullback Trabelsi. Acadia, but he can't keep possession. There's a stiff challenge from Neil Lennon, wins it for Celtic and gets a return pass from Bobby Peta. Played in field to Jos Valharan, a short pass to Paul Lambert, back to Valharan, charging through the centre circle, plays it wide left to Henrik Larsson. Valharan and Sutton waiting in the middle. There's Chris Sutton! Saved by Fred Graham, just as Sutton looked likely to make it 3. Couldn't really have done more. Sutton drove the shot in. It was a reflex stop by the goalkeeper, but Celtic now threatening again with Agat. Turned back for Larsson. It's a corner kick, and just ahead of the half-time whistle, Celtic so close here to going 3-1 ahead. That's a great stop from Sutton's effort.
Yeah, it's a wonderful break forward from Valharan. Lovely ball in from Larsson. Sutton can do no more. He's got on target, and perhaps Grimm has made up from one or two of his earlier errors.
That's a brilliant save when you look at it there by the goalkeeper. Here's the corner kick, played in by Bobby Petta. Cleared, but only as far as Lennon. We've played 100 seconds of added time. And that's flicked away by Passanen. And a little bit of respite for the Ajax defence, which has been seriously stretched in the first half. They've struggled to cope with what Celtic have thrown at them, and what they've thrown at them has been a top quality performance. Valharan's throw, Sutton's head, Larsson trying to guide that back to McNamara, almost found its way through, and that's half-time in the Amsterdam arena, and the big cheer is from the Celtic supporters. The Ajax fans still somewhat stunned about what they've seen in this first half. Goals from Bobby Petta and Didier Agat, both beautifully taken, had Celtic 2-0 in front. Arveladze pulls one back for Ajax just before half-time, but it's these Celtic supporters who are absolutely delighted with what they've seen so far, Eric.
Yeah, wonderful performance from Celtic. Very professional, very disciplined, wonderfully inventive up front. Larsson, Sutton have been very, very clever. Petta in the wider area, fantastic. Agat, a real threat with his pace and his desire to get forward. And it's been an all-round really good performance. I just hope now that Ajax, having been given a boost there, obviously 10-15 minutes before the end, don't come out and change and possibly give more threats to Celtic. But I can actually see Celtic scoring.
Yep, it certainly could have been a bigger lead for Celtic, but I don't think anyone inside that away dressing room will be complaining about the half-time scoreline, which is Ajax 1, Celtic 2.
Thank you very much, Rob. Apologies to you at home for the picture quality towards the end of the first half there. Apparently there was problems with the satellite caused by bad weather. Nothing to do with us, honestly. Now, 2-1 at half-time. Craig, it couldn't be better. You said that you think Celtic could have scored, and you get 2, my goodness, in the first half.
2, that is a wonderful start for Celtic. To score 2 away goals in a European tie against a side of that calibre is fantastic. It's a wonderful start, and no matter what happens later on, no, they won't lose the game. They'll score more goals. I agree with Eric Black there.
Yeah.
I think they'll score, but let's say it was 2-2. It's still a great result, because 2 away goals gives you a terrific cushion when they come to Celtic Park. But Celtic are playing exceptionally. Their pressing, their coordinated pressing to win possession has been tremendous.
We did what Martin O'Neill did talk before the game, saying that he could change his tactics, but his tactics certainly seem to be right. I wouldn't change them so far.
Oh no, absolutely spot on tactically. They've done very, very well. The Dutch have only 2 up. It allows Celtic to have 3 at the back. Tom Boyd in the centre there, all his experience. Valgaeren doing very well. Mialbi walking through the game. It looks great. The one disappointing feature was a bit of slack marking in the box when they lost the goal. And Rab Douglas did well to save the shot, but it rebounded, and unfortunately Avaladis was there, so they shouldn't have lost. The half-time result flatters the Ajax.
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
question.
Now, Alan, Celtic couldn't get off to a better start there. We mentioned the wingers earlier on, and Bobby Petta taking his first goal, took it very well, but what was going on with the keeper?
Oh, he's made some bad decisions, you know. The first goal, you know, he'll look back at that and he'll be very disappointed. You know, obviously Celtic will be delighted with what he's done there. You know, but he still had a lot to do there, Bobby, you know, and he's put it away really well. You know, and from then on, you know, Celtic have just looked so confident, and, you know, and to be honest, they haven't really had any ideas on how to play or anything, you know, and Celtic have, you know, will be absolutely delighted. Obviously the goal put a little bit of a damper on the first half performance, but you know, they were a little bit unfortunate now, because it took a deflection off Juice and gone right into the Ajax player's path, you know. Yeah. So, but no, they'll be absolutely delighted.
And Chris Sutton showing a lot of strength there. We were mentioning before the game also that Adrian said if Celtic start playing a physical game, I mean, Chris Sutton can't help playing a physical game. It's the type of player he is, and he shows an awful lot of strength in the box, and it worked out well there. Yeah,
they've struggled to handle him, and the ball's been played up to Chris, and you know, he's been linking with Henrik really well, you know, and for the first 35 minutes, you know, Ajax seemed to be all over the place. You know, they never really had the shape, and every time they did get the ball, they were giving it away, and they were just playing right into Celtic's hands.
Now, Craig, Celtic went 2-0 up fairly quickly after it, and just 14 minutes later it was Didier Agat, his pace. You talked about his pace earlier on, and here it is. He did incredibly well here. Yeah, the pass was good. The first ball laid in there by Sutton was excellent. That pass was tremendous, and his pace just enabled him to outstrip Kivu, and wonderful goal. Again, I think the goalkeeping could have been better. He didn't present himself very well to stop it, but there's a great layoff. And look at Larsson. I mean, what a well-weighted pass that, right into the path of a guy who we all know has got terrific pace. His finish is tremendous. And Celtic deservedly 2 up then, and looked as though they were going to get more goals, and they were very unfortunate not to score again. But they've played exceptionally well, the whole Celtic team, not a weakness. Terrific team play, and the individual pace of this man and of Peta on the left has been significant. See, the front two have done very well, but the wide players have supplied. Every ball into that box causes panic in the Ajax defence. Yeah, absolutely. Now, we've talked about Didier Agat, and sometimes people have criticised him for his final ball or his finishing. But certainly nothing wrong with that one there, Alan. No, I'd put money on Didier beating anyone in that position. He's absolutely lightning, and all he's got to think about there is hitting the target and putting the ball away. And he's done everything right, and he set Celtic up for the for 2-0 there, and they were cruising at that point. Now, when Agat came into the team for Celtic, you were there last season. I mean, what kind of options did he offer to the club that perhaps he didn't have the season before? I think he offers everything. He offers a lot of options going forward. But like with a lot of people, you find that they don't get back a lot. But with Didier, he's probably one of the hardest working players in the team. He'll go up but he'll go back and all and help. On the right hand side, which is probably Johan behind him. And he offers a lot of hard work, for the team. But I think to single out anyone, would be an injustice there, because everyone has been absolutely magnificent. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you said we've been injustice, but of course we're going to single out other players. It could have been 3-0. Larsson was off the bar, but it's Celtic using the short corner. Short corner's great. That's a very good shot. Whenever you play a short corner, it disturbs the marking in the box, and it gives the eyes of the defenders are sucked towards that ball. And you can see Henrik Larsson just moving off his marker there. Great header, terribly unlucky not to get a third goal there. That was wonderful play. The short corner I'm in favour of. You could see they only sent one out. I couldn't believe that, a club of that stature. The ball came in, all the marking was disturbed, and Larsson nearly scored. Now, you could say that Ajax are in a kind of transition period because they are a very young side, but you can almost say that about Celtic as well, because Martin O'Neill's only their first year in charge. Clearly, they've not been very successful domestically, but this is still a transition period. But they seem to be head and shoulders above the Ajax team, and would you go along with that? Yes, absolutely. They are head and shoulders above them. Everything about the Celtic performance has been first rate. A bit of slack marking, that's all, just inside the box. The rest has been excellent. I said the pressing, that is when they leave Ajax to get the ball at the back until just in their own half. They come to the halfway line, and then there's a coordinated, synchronised pressing movement, which is usually sparked by either Neil Lennon, Jackie McNamara or Paul Lambert, and the whole team closes down, and Ajax don't know what's happening then. They lose possession very softly, and Celtic are excellent in the counter-attack, as we've seen. Now, Alan, what will Martin O'Neill, you've been in the dressing room with him in situations like this, what will he be saying to the players now? Because they did lose a slack goal towards the end of the first half there, perhaps they shouldn't have. Yeah, I think, to be honest, he'll just say him again. Obviously, keep it tight, when they go out now, not to lose an early goal. I think that'll be really important. But every time Celtic go forward, they look like they're going to score. And I do think that they will be scoring another goal. And if they can score another goal and keep a clean sheet for the second half, then they'll be absolutely delighted going back to Celtic Park with a 3-1 or even 2-1 if they keep it like that. They'll be delighted. Now, Arveladze, the Georgian, 18 goals last season, he's not going to miss from there, Craig. No, but two Celtic players very unlucky there. Tom Boyd actually won the ball and it rebounded to the opposing player. And then I think Mjällby was very unfortunate as well. So, when I look at it again, I think it was quite a lucky goal. They worked hard for it, Ajax. But they got the break of the ball inside the box, and of course they got the break from Rab Douglas's save as well. So a fortunate goal for them. It's given them a bit of heart. That's the danger, and you can never be complacent at 2-1. But I still think it's a wonderful result at half-time, thoroughly deserved, and I would predict Celtic will score again. Now, Co Adrians clearly has some options there. He's got players that can all play football. Will he do a major change in tactics at half-time, do you think, Craig?
I think not. I think he's got a problem down his left side, because here's a Gat, and Alan's quite right in saying that he actually can defend as well as attack. Now he's got two players, he's got Mido and Kivo there down that left side. You would think they should be doing a 2-against-1 against a Gat, but a Gat's positional play has been exceptional. He's been defended when he has to defend. He's been covered very well by Malby behind, and the whole thing's tidy. But I would have thought if they can get the ball down that left side, they've got two excellent left-footed players, and they can do something and get crosses in from there. They've had one or two, and that would be my one slight worry about Ajax getting down the left and getting crosses in as a Gat. And maybe if he gets tired or if he gets careless in his concentration, they could capitalise there.
Now, Ajax, I mean, we weren't just making up the numbers in the first half. They were 2-1 at half-time, but they did have some chances in the first half as well, as you can see here.
Yeah, they did. I mean, this was a good chance, really. He sprayed it back in, and he should have probably hit his shot a bit earlier. You know, but obviously they cleared the lines there, and you know, probably might see in a minute they have another chance where the lads in front of goal only sit it, and probably Rab's delighted that he's hit it just to to wear a nice height for him. You know, because anywhere else and there's probably a goal.
This is a great save coming up here from Rob Douglas. You mentioned it during the game there, Craig. That's what you want your keeper to do. He's not called into action a lot, but great save.
Absolutely, tremendous save. It was a point-blank shot, but it was hit fairly straight, but Rab was there in the right position, and good goalkeeping. Gave a big presence, so it was a hard target to hit, even from a fairly close range, so excellent. He's out, you know, narrowing the angle 4 or 5 yards off his line. I would think that would be superb goalkeeping. OK, gentlemen, for the moment, thank you very much indeed. Now, as promised, your chance to win this shirt, signed by all three of last week's Celtic signings, John Hartson, Steve Guppy and Momo Silla. To win it, you just have to answer this question. From which club did Celtic sign John Hartson? Was it A, Wimbledon, B, Coventry, or C, Arsenal? Get your answers to us by post at Celtic Shirt Competition, BBC Sport Scotland, Queen Margaret Drive, Glasgow, G12 8DG, or by email sportscene@bbc.co.uk, or by telephone indeed on 0900 144 7755. It's 0900 144 7755. And of course, Rangers are playing in a qualifying for the Champions League tonight at Ibrox against the Turkish champions Fenerbahce. They kicked off at 7:45 this evening, and the score at the moment is 0-0. Craig, 0-0 at half-time. Well, not yet half-time for Rangers. They've got another few minutes to play, but that's not bad. They're holding on to them. Pardon me, not too bad, because excuse me, they've not to concede a goal. That's the important thing. OK, better if they score, but you know, it might be easier for Rangers to score in Turkey than at home, because Fenerbahce will be back defending. But as long as they keep a clean sheet, the away goal in Europe is so critical. I keep saying that, but Scottish teams have been at fault in the past because of their attitude, their strategy. And Rangers' strategy, as long as Fenerbahce don't score, they're in with a chance.
Now, there's a lot been said, Alan, about the Everton player, your teammate, Michael Ball, coming to Rangers. What do you know about him as a player? Because clearly Rangers need to sort of shore up the defence, and he's a left-sided defender, is that right? Yeah, he is. Obviously, a lot of Everton fans are sorry to see him go. You know, he's got a big reputation. You know, he's young, and I'm sure he'll be a really good player for Rangers. You know, obviously, the reason why he's left is because he was in a contractual. Couldn't agree terms with Everton over a new contract. You know, unfortunately, Everton have decided to sell him. You know, and I'm sure Rangers have got a really top quality player. OK, thanks very much for the moment, Alan. Thanks very much indeed. Now, as you can see, the referee and some of the Celtic players did a gap.